Hey, gentlemen.
Hey, gang.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Hey y'all.
I'm great. I'm great. Have y'all met Trent before?
I
I don't
met
think I've
Trent
met
at
him.
CBC.
Yeah, and
Good.
Jen, we met back in my craft brew alliance day.
Okay. A while ago, right?
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it.
Been a
Got
while.
it. Got it. Okay. Well, nice to see you guys. Thanks for taking the time today. I'll say it again, but I'm just so sorry, you guys. I can't imagine what you're dealing with and what your community is going through. So, we hope to put some coverage on this Kokua so that you can get some relief because just wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think all that goes without saying, and we're certainly appreciative of taking the time to learn about it and cover it because I think the big thing that we see in a lot of these cases is the cameras and the news stories are there for the first week,
Yeah.
and then they tend to go away. So it's going to be pretty vital that we keep the attention on this so we can continue raising funds and supporting the community.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, Garrett, how are
Good.
you?
All
Thanks for
right.
being on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for taking the time. Yeah, it's important. I'm not sure what that whole line was, but I'm guessing it's keep the light on the crisis, keep the fundraising going. We have very short attention spans in this country for things that actually matter, at least. And I think we need to make sure that we have as much light shining on this as possible. I don't think anyone on the mainland, anyone who hasn't been to the West Side or been in the donation centers and helping load trucks over here has any idea how bad it is. It's just incomprehensible, the level of destruction. Pictures are one thing, but when you're on the ground, eye level view with buildings that have been buildings that you knew people who lived in, or that you've been over to Painas and backyards and walk down Front Street and all of those things. Yeah, you can't even imagine it. But yeah, got to rebuild, got to get our people housed, number one.
Absolutely. And thank you for being on. Let's do a formal intro and talk more about it. So today we're welcoming to Beer Net Radio the guys from Craft Ohana, which some of you may know is Maui Brewing. We have Garrett Marrero, Trent Tokos, and Scott Metzger. First and foremost, here to talk about the Kokua Project relief efforts. As I said before you hopped on, Garrett, we just want to extend our sincere condolences. There aren't words for what your community is going through right now, but that's why we're so, happy that you're doing these relief efforts. And I hope that your families and employees are safe and accounted for.
Thank you. Yeah, we have everyone from all our restaurants and brewery accounted for, save for one. One, of course, is one too many. We did hear that she left island. We heard that she flew home, but we don't have confirmation on that. And this was she was a migrant who I don't think she kept her cell phone, or she lived in a van, young girl. So, very that van life, cruise around type situation from what I understand. And she elected to fly home is what we were told. But we don't have, anybody that has eyes on that or confirmation. So we remain very hopeful in that situation. But as of about 24 or 48 hours ago, time is not even a consideration here. We had found the other two of the three that were still missing. We do have, I think the count is now up to 36 that are displaced and without homes, that have lost and burned their homes. So that's certainly it's 35. So certainly a travesty. And I did some quick math. If we can get efficient with the building, that's anywhere from 14 to $20 million in reconstruction costs for that many homes. So you're talking about a significant amount of money to be raised just for our team. And you can imagine how many other teams there are out there.
And so what are the most immediate efforts, right? There's immediate efforts, there's long-term efforts. And how does the Kokua Project play into all of that?
You bet. Everybody's asking on the mainland, hey, how can we help? We have really switched gears. And all we're focused on is critical need. So, you have a friend, a family member, an auntie who says, hey, my prescriptions are in Wailuku. I can't get them to West Maui quickly. I need them. Something along those lines, a critical need to extract someone from West Maui. We will be flying air missions. As you know, I'm a pilot, so we've been doing that in addition to the ground missions. Aside from that, we're standing down. Today, the road has opened fully as of 6 a.m. is open to the general public, which I think is just, I understand why general public, because even if they put conditions on it like they did earlier this week, people aren't going to listen and they're still going to go try. And it's just going to be a total CF. But it's going to be a lot of looky-loos, a lot of people going to Instagram and social media this thing. And it's disgusting to think about that. However, because of the traffic that's going to bring, we've decided to stand down the driving missions. It's an inefficient use of our time trying to get supplies in that way. And, you know, everybody on the mainland saying, hey, how can I help? Can I ship you supplies? Can I ship you this? Can I ship you that? There are highly specific needs at the moment that I think would be beneficial that we're being asked for. And they're not canned food. They're not things you're going to be able to largely ship through the mainland en masse. You know, there's maybe some higher dollar items, but not the general household supplies that everybody's been sending. If you looked at my garage, you would think I just had, you know, quintuplets with the amount of baby formula and diapers that I have stocked in my garage right now. You go to our tasting room, and that was all direct shipped to the house here. You have the brewery has just the entire tasting room and lanai are overflowing with food, clothes, baby formula, everything you can imagine along those lines. And we turn that thing over, like fill to empty, back to full 3 times a day right now. So supplies are stocked. West Maui's asking us to slow down on supplies and let's settle in and bleed through what they've got, and then look towards, you know, resupplying as needed in an informed basis.
So are you're using your breweries as community centers right now, right? They're basically, they're shut down, but people are coming there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Scott, how many meals did we serve at a Kaanapali? Do you remember? It was like 12,000?
Yeah, 12,000. And I think that's a really great point, Garrett. You know, Jen, we just opened a new restaurant location literally 6 days ago.
Wow.
It was open for 6 days before the fire struck. And so that location has now been transformed into a, you know, center for first responders and people affected. And we have, I think the number is 300 FEMA and National Guard workers checking into that hotel. So that location, that hotel where that new location is located, is quickly transforming into a support, you know, kitchen for those individuals who are coming to help. So it's really awesome that you know, we've been able to contribute in our small part in being able to help that effort. And I know that you know, we're not out here trying to, you know, quickly, you know, exploit the situation or anything. We just happen to be in a position where we can support. And it's great that we're able to do that.
Yeah, you know, in addition to that, they're housing our teammates that were working on that side because, you know, God bless our team. They did not want to leave their posts, and many of them worked around the clock for the last week with only occasional breaks. And they were general managers that were prep cooking in the back alongside the union hotel workers. We had Scott, we had a twofer from Pelican. We had a GM plus her husband, who's a brewer, and he hasn't been able to start work at the Kihei site because he can't commute. And he's just been like, you know, volunteering in the kitchen, doing laundry, you name it. So, you know, they're housing our people and they're getting ready to accept FEMA, so federal workers, as well as state and displaced residents. So we expect the hotel to be in the 65 to 75% occupancy. And, you know, at that point, it does switch to a model where FEMA compensates us, thank God. But we have been doing this all for free, out of pocket, carrying the labor and the costs. And same thing out of Kahana. We have not opened that to a community kitchen. We instead consolidated our people into Kaanapali. We took all the food out of the kitchen in Ohana, and because we had no power the first several days and we didn't know how long it was going to be, we took all the freezer food, 1,000 pounds of chicken, 500 pounds of beef, you name it, and we handed it out to the community personally, myself and some of our teammates and volunteers from this side. Some of which were people I ran into on the street that were stranded central because all of their gear was at their hotel. They were visitors. Mm-hmm. And I said, all right, we'll hop in the truck. You're doing a day in the field, dropping off volunteer supplies, and then we'll extract your gear and we'll get out. And so it was really kind of black ops missions that private industry put together to get going.
Well, I mean, I guess let's talk about the Kokua Project. And, it just launched a day or two ago, I believe. And, what's been the response so far?
Yeah, we have we have over 300 brewers have signed up as of yesterday afternoon. And that's, about 48 hours in. And I'd say the first 24 hours really had very limited coverage. Posts went out on the Brewers Association email group. But Brewbound just covered the project yesterday, which led to another influx of participants. I'm sure as soon as y'all write about it, there's going to be another influx. So really huge response, and not just from the brewers, but I'd also say from our valued suppliers. I've had a lot of suppliers, even some who we don't really do a lot of business with, reach out and want to participate in some way. So the way this will work out, we're kind of asking the suppliers to either, offer donated or discounted supplies, or agree to donate, their proceeds from the raw materials to the foundation. So a lot of suppliers really eager to do that. And like I said, even ones who we hardly work with or haven't worked with at all at this point. So the outreach has been tremendous in that regard.
Yeah. And I know y'all joined in the Resilience Project several years back. Any learnings from that, or advice on how to advice to brewers on how to participate in something like this most effectively?
Yeah, so I can jump on that one. I think, a big shout out to Sierra Nevada, because we got on the phone with them last week, Robin and Molly over there, who shared with us their entire playbook, what they did, how they communicated, how they worked with the brewers on the beer, what the recipe looked like, how they communicated that, kind of all of it, how the charity piece worked. They were heavily involved in collections, which I think, after they reflected on that, they maybe didn't want to be so heavily involved in that. So they were really open with what their learnings were, what worked, what didn't, and they've shared all that with us. It's been great. We had so many people, to Scott's point, reaching out. We just wanted to go out quickly and say, hey, we're going to utilize our platform, our position as leaders, as a brewer in Hawaii, and get the message out there. And now we're kind of behind the scenes, lining up suppliers to help. Scott, we actually have 400 plus breweries now, all over the world. I think Germany, Philippines, we saw Australia on there. And you guys know how it goes. I mean, this is what's amazing about the beer business is, we were on the phone yesterday with the guys from Kona. 7 days a week, we're fighting for shelf space and tap handles. Yet they're like, what can we do to help this project? We want in. And there's been a lot of birds in Hawaii and across the country who've done the same thing. So it's been really great to see.
Yeah. So Garrett, were you saying something?
No, I was just acknowledging that. It's been great to see the outpouring of support.
Yeah. And so just to make sure everybody knows, everybody brews a beer that opts in, right? Usually there's a shared base recipe, and then 100% of the proceeds go toward relief efforts, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and that's a good point. We've really switched gears from the canned goods and household supplies to really focusing on the long-term fundraising. We are definitely looking at the costs here, and we know there's going to be insurance, there's going to be hopefully federal funds, but the number is $6 billion to rebuild West Maui. 5.5 billion for West Maui and about $500 million for Upcountry Kula, because we can't forget that our Upcountry family has been harmed as well. Houses were lost. There were fires all over this island, coming as close to a couple miles of the brewery. That first night, Tuesday night, we spent until the next morning, 1:30 in the morning, out behind the brewery, keeping an eye on the fires before we felt we could leave. So it's not just West Maui, but West Maui was the most devastated, of course. So, we are focused on, of course, our people first, not the commercial side of things, the residential properties, making sure that generational lands don't have to be sold, that they don't lose them, that they can rebuild. Many are uninsured, many are underinsured, which is the vast majority. And, some have insurance, but like I said, underinsured and still can't afford the deductibles. Right. So anytime you try to rebuild an entire community, you can imagine the demand on supplies and work. So not only will it be a long process, but it'll also be a more expensive process. We're also in one of the highest inflationary environments we've ever been in. So cost of goods isn't exactly cheap right now. So, you have that confluence of events, and it's upon us to raise as much money as possible. And that's what Kokua Beer Project is about.
Right. So if 2,000 brewers wanted in, all good, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I know Trent's cringing at the idea of managing all of that, but that's absolutely, something there. And we've had I'll tell you too, Trent, as I haven't mentioned this, but we've had a lot of volunteer people that are saying, hey, how can I help you with that project? I don't have a brewery. So if there are things that we need, we'll do a post and we'll say, hey, we could really use a social media person just for this, or we needed this or that. And we'll pull those volunteers in, because the outpouring of support has been just tremendous. But we do have to shift gears and start making, efforts towards raising real funds. And I think, we haven't talked about how much we'd like to raise yet, but, I think that $20 million mark is a good minimum. So that we can make sure that the Team Maui, our Craft Ohana family, is taken care of, and then beyond that, the rest of the community too, right? And really start with critical need and work from there.
Mm-hmm. And the money that comes in to rebuild, it'll go to many projects, or is there a particular, how does it flow through? I mean, obviously you guys have needs, and obviously the rest of the area has needs.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we have a few conduits, right? And we're still fleshing out some of the details. We do have 3 primary charities that we're working with. So that's the Makai Foundation, the Legacy of Aloha, and the Global Empowerment Mission, which is the MBC Wildfire Relief Fund. And each one will be slightly different. We sit on the board of the Makai one, and that is a group of business leaders that we came together to move quickly and cut the red tape, not take government funds, so that way we can deploy those assets quickly. Zero OPEX, because it's all of us volunteering. So 100% of dollars donated to that 501c3 will go to the community at large. And it is focused again on the uninsured, underinsured, and those who can't afford the deductibles. The Legacy of Aloha is also, all of these are 501c3. So you'll get tax deduction letters on each of these, or deductible letters. Legacy of Aloha is a combined effort between Maui Brewing Company and TS Restaurant Group. While we are unrelated as business entities, we share some common partners, and we share a love for the island, and we are all in food and beverage. So it's to raise money specifically for those impacted that work with TS and or Maui Brewing Company. And there are mechanisms to deploy that money elsewhere as well for critical need. And then the MBC Fire Relief Fund, that's Global Empowerment Mission, also focused on housing, but also transportation, even costs currently that you're incurring to survive. And we're working on raising funds there and being able to turn those back into cash cards as quick as possible to just hand out to community members at large, as well as our people. So we're never going to be, it's only these people, it's going to be the whole community. But every company, every group, every industry seems to have one servicing a specific area. So if we all do that, plus have an eye on the community, I feel very confident that our communities will be in large part taken care of as best we can.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And Go ahead.
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to, also point out that as this is all happening, I mentioned previously the support we've gotten from suppliers, but I also want to maybe recognize and shout out the other tiers in the trade as well, who are really taking part in this. And a lot of us obviously have a lot of experience in this industry and have built a lot of relationships. And those are really coming in handy as we have wholesale partners and retail partners reaching out, wanting to participate. Even wholesale partners who don't even carry our beer, have reached out, who we've worked with in the past, and say, hey, how can we participate? The independent retailers and chain retailers have both kind of stepped up and wanting to host events or put some sort of programming in place so they can funnel funds to this. And it's really a testament to the good that our industry can do when we come together in something like this. And obviously the beer industry and craft beer, specifically, has taken a lot of lumps in recent years. But I think this is a really good testament to how the industry can come together and do some good when the call is made.
Yeah, that's a great point. We've had, one of our largest distribution partners has called me yesterday, and I took the call for like 2 seconds. I was in a meeting trying to get Kokua stuff figured out. And I called her back, and she says, hey, or she texted me, she's like, you don't need to call me back. Here's what we're doing. And I couldn't not call her back with the words that I read. And it was that next month they're doing a drive, a focus on Maui, and $1 from every CE sold is going to go to our charity of choice. So, that's a simple way to do that. I was doing some rough math. Everybody talks in the mainland and abroad how much they love Hawaii, and specifically Maui. So if all we did is say, okay, everybody who came to Maui last year, just the people that came last year, we're looking at about 2.9 million visitors. So if every person gave $10, that's $290 million that we could raise. Sorry, $29 million that we could raise very quickly. Wow, it's been that kind of a week. I had to go back and update my Instagram because I had 1 day behind on each of the dates. It was crazy. But anyhow, that $29 million gets us to a lot of houses starting to get rebuilt. And if some people wanted to give more or less, hey, we'd love to see that. But anybody who wants to contribute, we've posted, I believe, and I've been sharing our charities. We have QR codes to make it quick. And as part of Kokua, you don't have to donate to these charities. I think, many breweries in the mainland and abroad, the international ones especially, that are looking at participating or that have signed up, they're not familiar with Hawaii enough to say, this is the charity I want to donate to. So they've asked us to make some recommendations. And so rather than just say go one place, we have a multitude of charities that we're going to be posting. We can funnel all of that through the Global Empowerment Mission. And all they got to do is say where they want it to go, or I only want my funds to be used for this purpose: housing, clothing, cars, etc. Certain populations, and GEM will be able to manage that. And that's what they do. They're over in the Ukraine with the Be Strong Foundation, which is Bethany Frankel's charitable side. So they're running her organization, and they came to Maui. They were boots on ground the second day. And I met them. So I was on the ground Wednesday running a generator. Actually, they flew in Wednesday. So I saw them the very first day of this fire. They flew out. And that's pretty impressive. And they're uber committed. Of course, we will make recommendations. If there are charities that you do know of or that you want to research, great, but just make sure they're 501c3, make sure they're locally based, and make sure they're not taking heavy OpEx out of the money, meaning 98+%, 95+% of the money needs to go to the cause. That's the only way that this is going to work, right? So if we have the larger nationals that are taking, 30 to 50% OpEx out, that's not going to work. We need to leverage the dollars, not decrease the dollars.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up there. I agree, and Garrett and I have talked a lot, and Scott as well. I think we will make a strong recommendation that they do put the money towards the Maui Brewing Company Fire Fund. so that we can understand the collective impact. I think that's important as a brewing community, that we can go back and say, this beer made by 5,000 breweries, 2,000 breweries, 1,500 breweries raised X amount of money. And what's nice about that fund, to Garrett's point, if the people at Russian River say, hey, we want it to go to Red Cross in Maui, it can still do that via that fund. So I think we're trying to figure out the logistics of that, but I think that is going to be the easiest way to kind of keep a collective tab of how much good this project is doing.
Yeah. And speaking of keeping the collective tab, I'm hoping that, when we look back a year from now at the IRI data, that folks like you, Jen, and Jordan and Harry are asking, like, what the heck happened that Session IPA saw this huge spike? And hopefully that's all on Kokua.
Right. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. One more question. I don't know that you guys will be able to answer it, but I'm curious. How long till you guys expect to be fully operational again? And what are the estimates for how long it could take, the Lahaina to get back to where it was before the wildfires?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I think stepping back, all Maui Brewing Company facilities were unscathed from fire directly. Came close in Kihei, but both locations on the west side were outside of fire zones. So we're operational at the brewery. We have not skipped a beat there. We are still moving forward with our can line upgrade that we're scheduled to start in a couple of weeks. We've got new technology going in to help us be more efficient. 15% of revenue, I want to say, was 96761, which is West Maui. So that's a huge chunk that we're going to have to make up. So we're going to be looking to promote the hell out of Maui on the mainland, of course, because we need that revenue and profit dollar to support our team, of course. The Kaanapali restaurant, less concerned about, because we are going to be serving residents and all the FEMA workers and state workers. That's only going to be for a few months at this point. We don't know if that's going to be long-term residents living there, or if it'll be just, short-term like the FEMA guys. But apparently they're in for at least 3 to 4 months. We don't know how long though. So that's in the now, we've got a little bit of a buy on that, where we're going to be compensated by the government to feed the people at the hotel. Up in Kahana, our original location, we were due for a remodel there, and we were going to be building a new restaurant next door. We owned the building next door. We had already started demolition. We were in for permits last January. We were expecting to hear back a review of our permits this November. That gives you an idea of how long it takes here in Maui. So that gives us pause about the building permit process. I think we're going to probably pause on actually starting construction because we need those resources going to build homes. We are able to open our kitchen in Kahana. We just need to have a plan, and it's so close to when all this has happened. Already our people are asking to go back to work, but we need to be a bit sensitive to the community on, hey, we're open, but we're charging. But we do also have to kind of push the idea that life goes on and we have to move forward. But I would say for us, within the next few weeks, we'll have a clear indication of what our retail operations look like on West Maui. My goal, I hope that by Labor Day or soon thereafter, we are actively serving visitors to the island of Maui alongside the residents. I think that would be a win for sure. West Side in whole, I don't think it'll ever be the same, but 5 to 10 years, I'd say, by the time you get, all of the historic district and all the people that are going to argue loudly about what color the roof should be, and that we shouldn't allow this type of construction, only this, and the commercial side's going to be a lot longer.
Jay, anything?
No, that's all I got. Thank you for making the time. Big cheers to everything y'all are doing, and we wish all of y'all the absolute best.
You bet. And I can share some, I'll share a Dropbox that I haven't been focused on taking pictures, but what pictures I have taken, I can absolutely share with you. And I'll just shoot you a quick link. Scott, Trent, do you guys have anything else you'd like to communicate or?
I was just going to say, Jordan, if you need we have the link is live where we're asking brewers to sign up. We're hoping by the end of the week, our head brewer, James, has created, as Scott mentioned, a session IPA recipe that we're going to get out to the brewers along with a list of suppliers that are willing to help on the malt, hops, yeast, etc. side of things. We're developing some marketing assets to share with everyone, and then the foundation info. So we're really in collective mode as far as getting breweries on board. Next step by the end of the week is that portal will have all that information I just mentioned.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I was just say, thanks to the BBD team for always, caring and checking in on us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for being good stewards of where you're from, and stay strong. Thank y'all.
Absolutely. If I could leave with just one parting message, and please share this, is Hawaii is a beautiful place, and we have a lot of islands here. All islands are feeling the pain. All islands are also now starting to feel the economic disaster coming. Oahu already has a decrease in visitors and is completely unimpacted by the fires here. Kauai, same thing. We've had our slowest days at Maui Brewing Kihei since the beginning of pandemic. So the last 2 days were pandemic level sales, and that is not sustainable. All effective today, all dive boats, all snorkel boats, everybody based West Maui is completely laid off because there's just no one to take snorkeling. These are boats that leave out of Kihei Harbor, not out of Ma'alaia, not out of West Maui. They don't even go West Maui. So there have been some very vocal, but very small amount, very minority amount of people that are screaming about no tourism, we don't need you, we don't want you, this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, in today's society, we give the loudest microphone to the smallest minority of people. And that is, I can tell you right now that saying no tourism, you are creating the worst economic disaster we've seen. You're exacerbating the disaster of the Maui wildfires. You are single-handedly, and the group of you are killing Maui. I have friends down here, hotels, they've gone down to 12 to 15% occupancy, where right now they should be in the high 80s, mid 90s. They have started laying off even their full-time employees at this point. So you can imagine the amount of distress this is going to put on the local economy, and you don't need to do that. So I ask you to come to Maui. I ask you to visit. I ask you to enjoy not only Maui, all of our islands, but specifically Maui is feeling this worst moment. Come to stay South Maui. Don't try to drive West Maui. Please don't come to Instagram the disaster. Come to serve the community. Come with a service mindset that you'll volunteer at the Humane Society, that you'll help build homes when appropriate, when you can be part of a volunteer mission to the West Maui area and swing hammers with Habitat for Humanity. But, South Maui is ready for you now. And we just want responsible tourism. Be respectful, have fun, go to the beach, sit by the pool, drink your Maui Brewing Company beers and your Mai Tais, but serve. Ask how you can help, because there's plenty of ways that you can help, and we need you. Don't listen to the people that say they don't want tourism here and no tourism. Some big name celebrities that are sitting on tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars are saying this. You can imagine they're going to be fine. And until they start opening their checkbooks to pay for our people, and when I say our, I mean the entire Maui Island, then I don't have anything to say to them other than we welcome a discussion to correct your behavior. But we absolutely need tourism, and we'd love to see, again, responsible tourism surge back here in Maui so that we can start to help heal our islands.
Well said, very poignant, and will help you deliver the message. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. And yeah, we'll talk soon. I hope to hear good news very soon. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Aloha.